Wholesome Audrey welcomes you. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, I thought I would show you guys what I ate on the weekend plus Monday. Some meal inspiration, plant-based eating. These meals are super nutritious but also really easy to make. I hope I can inspire some of you to eat this way and eat more wholesome, nutritious meals. So without further ado, let's go on the video. I always start my morning with some warm lemon water before I get started on my porridge. So I pour half a cup of whole oats into a pot. It's usually a little bit over half cup. And then add in some spring water because there's no tap water in this household, and give it a stir until it starts to thicken up. This is where I add maple syrup. You can also add any sweetener of choice. Mix all that flavor and goodness in, and don't flick it on yourself like I did. I looked really disgusted with myself here. Once it's been cooking for about 5 minutes and it's nice and thick, I let it sit for a couple minutes, and in the meantime I'm making my drink, which is usually a cacao with maple syrup and a bit of soy milk. Super hydrating and a nice way to start the morning. I don't usually drink coffee in the morning, so this is the replacement. I add a couple spoonfuls of cacao powder with a drizzle of maple syrup and a splash of soy milk. Give it a stir, and that's that. Now to plate up the porridge, I add some frozen blueberries into the hot porridge and it melts by the time I pour it, and it's super yummy. And then I'm chopping up a banana to add on top because banana on porridge is so good. And now a nice generous spoonful of almond butter and some hemp seeds for protein and a drizzle of maple syrup for some sweetness. This is one of those breakfasts that just keeps you full for so long and is super duper nutritious, high in protein and fiber. And obviously enjoyed it with my hot cacao. Super duper yummy. Whoa. Alright. Okay. We have made it to 2 o'clock on Saturday, and I'm going to be making a sweet potato tofu and nourish bowl. It's going to have sweet potato, if you can guess it, quinoa, zucchini, mushrooms I have left over in the fridge, and avocado and a couple other things. And I'm just going to put it in the oven, cook some things on a fry pan, chuck it in a bowl, and it's going to be a nutritious meal. So let's get on to that. I'm also going to be making like a kind of bigger batch because I'm going to be meal prepping it kind of for tomorrow and the next day with the same ingredients. So that's why I'm using like 3 sweet potatoes for a couple meals. So I started by chopping up 3 medium-sized sweet potatoes into cubes and adding them to a baking tray. When it comes to knife safety, do not ask me because, yeah, as you can see, not the best. And I went ahead and drizzled some olive oil and coated them well, and I put them in the oven on 200 degrees for about half an hour. Today is definitely a use what's in the fridge kind of day. I have pulled out half a bag of edamame beans, half a bag of mushrooms, a bit of tofu left over from the week, which I'll slice, do something with. I also found a quarter butchered avocado, which I'm going to use as well. Pot. I actually have no idea how to cook quinoa. I just boil water and put it in and hope for the best. For my vegetable of choice, I chopped up some mushrooms and some zucchini, as well as tofu into medium-sized cubes. Once the water boiled, I added in a generous amount of quinoa. For the dressing, I used some tahini, which was conveniently at the end of the jar. I added some maple syrup, balsamic vinegar, olive oil, and then some water to thin it out. Combined it really well to then just going on to shaking it because the mixing wasn't working, and got a nice syrupy consistency. Tastes pretty good. Quinoa is done. I just let it sit and absorb all the water. And now on to cooking the veggies and tofu. Heat up a pan with olive oil and add the mushrooms, zucchini and tofu and mix them well until cooked. I also do the dishes as I go so they don't just pile up on me at the end. So I've only got a fry pan and a pan in the oven to clean up. So that's it. Now to plate it up, I added the quinoa first as like the base, and then I added the tofu and the vegetables. Next, the sweet potato, a generous amount of edamame beans, and then a little handful of spinach to finish it off. I also cut up the avocado with my spoon and added that on top, as well as the tahini-based dressing. This was up there for one of those wholesome lunches that I always crave. I don't think you would like this. Or maybe? Okay. Super high in protein and fiber with the quinoa and the tofu and also the vegetables. 10 out of 10 meal for me, and also you should try it. It's about 7:45 on Sunday morning, so let's make breakfast. Started by toasting 2 pieces of oat bread and now chopping up zucchini and some mushrooms into small pieces, as these will be going into a tofu scramble. Start by heating my fry pan with some olive oil, adding in the veggies and then crumbling some firm tofu with my hands to make the scramble. I then add some spinach and give that a good stir to combine everything. I am then adding some soy sauce and a generous sprinkle of nutritional yeast to give it that cheesy flavour. Now for the base, I'm going to be smashing half of an avocado. This was quite a large one, and then adding in edamame beans for that extra protein hit. Once everything is made, I'm going to assemble the toast by adding the avocado smash and then adding the vegetables on top, like a tofu scramble egg situation, except minus the egg. This is definitely one of those plant-based meals that most people go to because it's so high in protein and yummy. Should we make some lunch, Moody? Yeah! Thinking of doing like a stuffed capsicum with like quinoa, sweet potato, tofu. Same ingredients as yesterday, but made a bit differently. Let's go. Started by cutting the core out of the capsicum to make it hollow, and then chopping up an onion into fine pieces, which will be part of the filling, to then chop up zucchini as well as mushrooms again. Heating up the fry pan with some olive oil to then cook the vegetables until they are nice and soft, as well as crumbling in firm tofu and spinach, mixing that until all soft and combined. Next, adding in the cooked quinoa to bring it all together. I decided to add sweet potato to mine as they were sitting in the fridge just looking at me, and then I added soy sauce, nutritional yeast, and gave it all a nice stir. Once the filling is done, I am going to stuff the capsicum nice and firmly until it is at the top and put it in the oven at 200 degrees for about 15 minutes. And that capsicum ain't the only one getting hard. I was really craving a matcha, so I decided to make one. I sprinkled in some organic matcha powder, whisked that with some maple syrup, and combined it with soy milk to make myself a lovely iced matcha. Once the stuffed capsicum was nice and cooked, I plated it up and chopped it in half so it would be a lot easier to eat. She was steaming, but it was so delicious. An extremely versatile meal as well. You can add any stuffing, any vegetables, and any flavouring. Sunday evening, 6 o'clock, time to make some dinner, and it's going to be a lentil black bean taco mince. So obviously I make the taco mince with lentils and black beans with corn chips and other toppings, so I'm going to take you through that. It's a really simple meal, high protein, super healthy, high fiber. Let's go. Started by simply chopping up an onion into fine pieces, which is added to most taco minces, as well as mushrooms into fine bits. Then heating up the pan with some olive oil, cooking the veggies until nice and soft. Added in black beans as well as lentils. These were just canned ones as they are a lot easier to prepare, and went ahead and mashed it to form a mince consistency. To loosen it up a little bit, I added some vegetable stock. It was about a cup of water with a teaspoon of vegetable stock, as well as some taco seasoning, and gave that all a nice stir. Totally optional, but to add to the Mexican theme, I added some corn into the mix. Now to plate it up, I added some iceberg lettuce to the base, my lentil and black bean mix, some avocado, chopped up cucumber, chopped up tomatoes, as well as some plant-based mozzarella on top. And of course, you can't miss out on the corn chips. All round, this was a super easy and quick meal to make, and super high in fiber, protein, and iron, and antioxidants, and all of that good stuff. It's Monday morning, and I decided I'm going to make apple and cinnamon oats. So let's go. Started by chopping up the apple into small cubes, obviously keeping the skin on for the most amount of nutrients, and sauteing them in a little bit of coconut oil and some water until they are nice and soft. Now adding in half cup of whole oats and adding the rest of the water to cook it, as well as some maple syrup and some cinnamon, and cooking until nice and thick. This is where the nut butters come into it. Peanut butter, almond butter, tahini, cashew butter are all great options. I sprinkled some hemp seeds on top and enjoyed this wonderful bowl of apple and cinnamon porridge outside. It was so yummy.